Hey mates, how is life behind bars? Not these bars, these bars. So some of you will know who follow on Instagram and Facebook that I have shaved the mullet completely off. If you missed that, I'll put a little clip up on the screen because I only showed that on TikTok and Instagram. Anyway, for this video, we're putting the Hex cap back on because this video today is all about the GS-911. Now, I did a video on the GS-911 about 2.5 years ago. It's a tool that we generally didn't use that much, but we are finding that we're using it nearly every day now. It is such a useful tool. I'm understanding it more and more each day. We've been selling a much higher volume of these than normal, and I think that's because the founder of Hex has gone and made this device pretty sexy. Up to now, it's just been a diagnostic tool. It will read fault codes. It's been heard and spoken of by people in BMW dealerships. It's actually better than the BMW diagnostic tools that they use themselves. So the one I've got in my hand is the Wi-Fi version. This is the most popular. We can use this wherever we are in the world. We can connect to the bike and we can get it going again. There's also a USB version that we do. We have them in stock as well. You can obviously make a saving by buying the USB version, but you're limited to when and where you can use it because you need your laptop to connect via USB, and then you connect the device to the bike via the OBD. The angle I'm going to come out with next, bearing in mind I am a serial entrepreneur, never been employed in my life, so I'm always quite good at finding business angles. This is actually a really good business idea. If you've got a BMW with a TFT screen and you've got your mates also with a BMW with a TFT screen, or let's say you're on a ferry on your way to on a big road trip and there's other guys out there and you put a little advert or like a little business card saying we can update or upgrade your TFT so you can have the lean angle sensors and everything, because they've got this tech on their bike already. All you're going to do is unlock it with this for 20, 30. If I didn't know about this and my mate had all that lean angle stuff on his screen, I would want it and I would probably part with £30 for that, possibly more. But then again, if I knew about this, I would buy it myself and then I would probably charge my friends to actually unlock those features on their bikes. So you could probably end up buying this and getting all your money back in a very, very short space of time. Later on, I'm going to tell you exactly about the subscription for this because you don't need a subscription, but then there is a subscription if you want to do more with it. So in a nutshell, this device will plug into nearly any BMW, more or less any BMW with an OBD port, which they've all got. I think. I'm pretty sure they have. Anyway, in my lifetime, whilst bikes have been about, I'm pretty sure every bike's got an OBD port. So this is the 16-pin version. Your bike might have the round 10-pin version. What we do, we don't even stock the 10-pin one. We only stock the 16-pin one because this is what all modern bikes have got. And then we use the adapter if you want to go back and plug it into older bikes with the 10-pin OBD. Rather than you take my word on how good and how vital this tool is, I jumped on a FaceTime call 2 days ago with Simon and Lisa Thomas from To Ride the World. If you don't know who Simon and Lisa Thomas are, they are a married couple from the UK who decided one day, sod it, let's get some bikes and ride around the world. And that's basically what they did. 18 years later, thereabouts, COVID brought them back to the UK. But together, they've got over 500 miles under their belts riding motorcycles around the world. Hey, that was actually supposed to say 500,000 miles, 500,000 miles. I actually took that 3 times as well. I can't believe I said 500 miles on each take 3 times. 500,000 miles, okay? Really, really interesting couple, and I am very fortunate to call them my friends. So I gave them a call 3 or 4 days ago, and as odd as it may sound, they were literally sitting on a beach and they took my call. I'll put a quick clip up here because I had to screenshot that video call. But then the very next day, we jumped on a FaceTime call. Because the conversation went off on tangents about where they are at the moment, I did have to heavily edit this FaceTime call. But if you want to see the full version of our conversation, then I've put a link down below which will take you to a private video where you can see that full-length version. Without any further introduction, please watch this short 10-12 minute clip of them talking about the GS-911. So where are you guys right now?
Well, right now we're in St. Lucia, in the Caribbean. We're coming to the end of a month-long slot as guest lecturers, destination lecturers for biking cruises. We've never done a cruise before, but yeah. So we're talking to you on the screen, but right in front of us.
We're just looking out of the bay of St. Lucia, as you
yeah,
can you see?
do.
Can you see the pythons, the two mountains?
Yes,
They're behind us.
They're actually behind us.
Behind you, impressive.
Yes.
I was there a couple of years last year. I think it was last year. Very, very nice.
And just a week ago, we were in the centre of the Amazon jungle. So it's been a really interesting and emotional journey.
Yeah.
Again, very different for us. Not a motorcycle in sight, but
it's
a lot of fun.
still getting out there. It's still getting to different countries and speaking to different people, and that's what I love.
I called you today because I wanted to talk about this. I know, but from the few years I've known you guys for, that you took this on your trip around the world. And you've always had this with you. You also know that this works on all the modern bikes as well, not just the older bikes. It does more today than it's ever done. But for you, I'd like to get some examples just so all of the subscribers and the people watching this video know how it helped you out when you were out there on the road.
Just to give this some perspective, that little device you're holding in your hand, Lisa and I were the very original beta testers for.
Yep.
Going back to 2003.
I already knew that.
And we actually,
good to hear from you.
We actually we took it out into Namibia and tested it. And,
it looked very different to that. It was basically a green circuit board, a long antenna. I mean, nowhere near as smart as that.
Yeah.
But Steph had this. We said we'll go and test it. We're going to Namibia. So we've got a lot of experience. We've been using it for a very long time. But that also kind of explains how good or how important that device can be. The simplest way of talking about what the GS-911 is, it's an electronic toolbox. There's not a lot of people that are going to take a motorcycle or a vehicle of any kind, drive into an area that they're not familiar with and not pack a single tool. But the reality today is that bikes are becoming more and more high-tech. There's more and more computer on board. So to have a device that allows us to communicate with our bike's brain is almost essential. Again, this isn't said lightly. We would not now travel anywhere without that little device. Now, you hope not to use it very often. Lisa and I use it whilst we service our bikes because it gives us a wealth of information. But there are a number of times where the BMW bikes especially are programmed in these circumstances turn off to protect the bike. Unless you have a way of talking to the bike's brain and saying, actually, it's okay to come back on, or let's deal with this.
You can be really stuck.
You can be stuck. We've had quite a few situations.
We weren't in the middle of nowhere, but we may as well have been. We were on the Pacific Highway 1 in California, and we were actually traveling with a
BMW Master
Technician. And I'd been having a few problems. Very unusual for my bike, actually. I was having a few problems. That was the original BMW F650GS, very strong bike.
Do you remember what the problems were? It just kept cutting out.
It kept on cutting out. And I was going along, and then it would cut out and have to slide to the side of the road, and then it continued and continued. The Master Tech had a look at this. Hello, Issa. Ice Monster, we love you. And he helped out. And he said, you know, I don't know what this is. So we put in the hex diagnostic and had a look at all of the fault codes. And what it was just the perfect storm. It wasn't one particular thing that we found out. It was lots of little different elements that then the actual brain of the bike went, those elements, that's it. I'm not moving, and it cut out completely. So without being able to see specifically what was wrong and realise none of them were catastrophic for the bike, we were able to clear those fault codes. But we did have a process, a better way of actually doing it. We didn't just clear it and carry on.
But it's important to mention that by clearing the fault codes, the bike then started straight away. which allowed us to continue.
But we did take a screenshot of all of the fault codes as well, so that by clearing them, we had a record of what had been going on, and then we were able to call ahead to a dealership, pass them the information, so that when we eventually reached that dealership, then they had all the information already, and they had the parts that we needed, which were very basic, simple parts, but not always the parts that you carry with you.
But we'd already spoken to the dealership, so whilst we were getting the details, we'd already called up and said, "Hi, look, this is the problem we're having. The bike's not starting." And they said, "Well, we can come and get you. We'll tow you." That was going to be $630. So in the meantime, we plugged in the GS-911. We got the details. We then sent them a screenshot. They confirmed, none of these are catastrophic. It is just that they've come together, so the bike's gone into protective mode. It's turned itself off. Now, that was going to carry on happening. So what we did is we zip-tied the GS-911 to the bike. We left the little cell phone we were using, the mobile phone, in a tank bag. So whenever it would cut out, Lisa would drift to the side of the road. We just clear the fault and go again. But that was the very first time we used it in an emergency, which was this case. It paid for itself.
Yeah.
It would have been $650 to get towed. And the lovely thing is that we sent them the fault codes. They said, "Okay, this is pretty straightforward. We don't have the parts.
We can get them in.
We'll have them tomorrow morning." We rocked up the following morning. They already had the parts in. We got the parts replaced, and we carried on. There was no inconvenience. But without the GS-911, even Issa, our buddy, said, you could have had a wall of specialized BMW tools. If you could not talk to the bike's onboard computer, that bike was not starting. End of.
Good point. What was that part again that you needed? What was it? Do you remember?
I'm trying to remember. It was something to do with, it was all electronic based, and it was faults between the ignition, the spark plug, and I think the hall sensor.
Yeah.
The 650.
Just the perfect storm with all of those coming together. I think
But these faults were happening, dozens and dozens of times per minute. It wasn't just once every now and again, and the bike just went, "No, this isn't good. I'm turning myself off."
The one I've heard is where dust can get inside the kill switch, and the kill switch thinks it's activated, so obviously it won't start. And the other one is the kickstand as well. It thinks the kickstand's down, but it's not. So obviously the ignition won't start.
I mean, honestly, the majority of the time, we've had the GS-911 out on probably 3 or 4 occasions where we've actually needed it to get the bike running and to get ourselves somewhere safe. But honestly, the biggest benefit is that as and when we're servicing the bike, it literally just gives you information that you would not have access to if you didn't have this tool. So the BMW computers on board the bikes, they'll calculate and record fault codes. But the bike also has a self-diagnostic cycle. So the GS-911 will also allow you to identify past fault codes that have happened that the bike is then cleared. Now that's really important because that gives you an idea as to potential problems that might be coming up. And forewarned is forearmed. Anything you can do to give yourself more information minimizes the amount of wrenching you're going to be doing and puts you in control. And at the end of the day, as riders, what we want to be is in control of our bikes.
I know that Simon said, it's been an essential tool for us because we've been on the road so long and we don't always carry absolutely everything with us. But I was thinking about this, that it's actually quite important.
Probably more
important. If you're going on a short journey, say you've only got 6 days, you don't want to spend 3 days having your bike towed to a dealership, waiting for parts to come in. Half of your vacation is trashed. So if you had something like this, I would say it's even more essential to carry when you're on a short journey.
Yeah. Bottom line is, in its shape, we wouldn't leave home without it. We think it's that important.
I think in the last 6 months or so, Stefan, founder of Hex, you know him personally, he's gone and made it even sexier. For all of the BMWs with the TFT screen, you can have whatever startup you want on there. So my GS now thinks it's an M Sport S1000RR. It's got all the lean angle things now because that technology is already on the bike and it's already in the TFT. It's the same TFT that you get on an S1000RR. So all of that data, that info is already in the TFT. So all this, the GS-911 does is unlock it all. So you can have that on any bike with a TFT. I came in one day, and as you can see behind me, I actually do have an M1000R sports bike as well. And I came in one day. Yeah, I have to have all the toys. But I came in one day, and Tom, who works for me, decided to program it. I think he took instruction from Stefan. He said, "Tell you what, Tom, turn it into a K1600." So when I turned the bike on, it said I was sitting on a K1600.
That's just cool, isn't it?
Yeah,
so you've got BMW hiding some of these facilities because, well, for whatever reason, to be able to go, this is my bike. The facilities are there. I want to take advantage of them, and being able to unlock that.
Yeah.
You know, is it dreadfully important? No, but it's bloody cool to be able to do it.
Yeah.
It's like I always relate it like it's like a little James Bond gadget.
Here we go.
Yeah. We're selling a lot of them now, but not just to GS riders, to guys with their S1000RR sports bikes, just so they can change the dash. I think they're realizing they can do more with it, and they can read fault codes and stuff when they're on track days, that kind of thing. And with the new professional license, there's a new Pro Unlimited license, which is $99 a year. You can opt in or out whenever you want.
Listen, whether we should or shouldn't say this next bit, I don't know, but just to give anyone that doesn't know about this device some real context as to how good it is. You go into any BMW dealership, they have a very expensive computer. It's a very lengthy process. When you go in for a service, you'll go in and they will connect your bike to this powerful computer, and they will start the servicing and the diagnostic process. This device is so good. I know of a very large number of dealerships around the world, but especially in the US, where the techs have actually gone out, spent their own money, bought the GS-911, and now using it because they can get to the same place an awful lot faster using Stefan's device. Obviously, they'll still go through the whole process and finish off with the BMW computer, but it's actually being used by an awful lot of BMW qualified techs because it's just simple, powerful, and convenient. And again, going back to the traveling, you know, we're talking about something that's slightly bigger than I don't know, a pack of cigarettes. It'll connect to a cell phone, a smartphone, a laptop. It doesn't take up space. It's not one of those, oh, where am I going to put it? It's so big.
And for those of you that don't smoke and know how large a pack of cigarettes is, I relate it more to like a square can of sardines.
Or a small camera. But yeah, I mean, and again, what it'll do now, what it empowers us to do compared to the first device.
Amazing.
I mean, Steph is a bona fide rocket scientist. He'll hate being called that. But yeah, this is some very clever, cool stuff.
A great big thank you to Simon and Lisa. So if you could do me a great big favor, go over to their channel if you haven't already, subscribe to all their social medias, go and follow them. They are not just world travelers, they are top high-class professional photographers. They actually hold photography lessons called Living Lens. It's worth going on there on one of their courses. I was actually booked to go on one a couple of years ago, but unfortunately COVID literally took me prisoner and I couldn't make it in the final couple of days, which was an absolute pain, and I haven't had a chance to put myself back onto it again. I just want to thank Simon and Lisa again for helping us out with this video, putting your content on there. Your testimonial for this alone speaks volumes. And thank you again for being willing to come onto my channel and share your stories. So on that note, please use the coupon code to ride the world, and that will give you 10% off. So the number 2, ride the world, all one word. I'll put the text across the screen. To ride the world will give you 10% off all Hex GS-911 products. Okay, not the easy cans, just the GS-911s. One of the things that used to really confuse me with this is how to get it connected. So I'm going to show you that now. Now, you do not need a computer to actually set this up. You don't need it. It can all be done on your phone. So all you need is either an Android or an iPhone with Wi-Fi capabilities that can connect to this. If you've got Wi-Fi in your house, even better. I don't think you even need that if you've got a good 4G signal and you've got data coming through on your phone. There's two things on here. Make a note of the time on this video at this point, because you can use this as a reference in case you forget how to use the D2D and the infrastructure feature on the GS-911, because it's something that I kept forgetting. I wasn't using it day in and day out, so it'd be in my drawer for 3 or 4 months. I come back to it and I couldn't remember how to flaming well connect that damn thing up. But it is actually very, very simple. Infrastructure on this basically means cloud. Yeah, it's the internet. We're going to use our router in our property. We're using the internet to connect to this, which is connected to the bike. So what we do, let's say you've just got this and you want to connect it all up. We plug this into the bike. We turn the ignition on the bike. All the lights will be flashing on the back. On the back of here, you'll notice you've got the power light, and then you've got the one in the middle, which looks like an antenna. That's the infrastructure. And then the one on the right, which looks like 2 radars, that's D2D, device to device. Device to device basically means we can grab our phone and we can connect and talk directly to this. So if we're out on the road, based on Simon and Lisa's scenario where the bike has broken down, they've got no internet, they're out in the middle of nowhere, but they need to get the bike going again. So we plug this into the bike, we connect to it using D2D, device to device, and we can read all the fault codes on the bike and we can clear them if necessary. But if we want to carry out some of the cool features like changing the dash, playing around with the heated grips, and all the other cool features that are now on the GS-911, well then we had to do that via the cloud. So what we do is we connect to it device to device. We go onto our phone, onto the settings, not onto the GS-911, we go onto the settings of our phone as if we're trying to connect to a Wi-Fi router. You will then see, as long as this is in D2D mode, you will see the GS-911 come up. You then connect to it, okay? You then go to the app, the GS-911 app on your phone, and then you open that up and you are now talking to your bike, or the bike is talking to you. You can see the fault codes. You can do an auto scan. But let's say you want to connect to the cloud. You go to settings, and then from settings, you then tell this device to look at the router in your house or in your workshop, wherever you are, so this can connect to the internet. Once it's done that, you then log out of this on your phone. You log out of the GS-911, and then you log back into your router in your property. So this is now looking at the internet through your router. Once you're on there, you will then find this when you go on to the app. You click on the GS-911 app again, and then you'll find this. You're then viewing this via your router. And obviously your router is connected to the cloud, so you can carry out these cool features. Hope that makes sense. It's much easier than you think. If it doesn't automatically switch over to infrastructure, I forgot to mention, if it doesn't automatically switch over, then just press the button and it will. I've got a bike behind the camera right now, which we are kitting out for a customer in the Bahamas, believe it or not. He's not having it delivered to the Bahamas, it's actually being delivered to his yacht in Europe. It's one of a kind, but we are basically doing the full works on this bike. But I'm going to plug this in. It's a brand new bike, so there shouldn't be any fault codes whatsoever, but we haven't even plugged it into it yet either, so you'll see it for the first time. You'll see, because we've got 2 routers in this property. It's the same router, but we've got 2 router names. We've got a bike thing mesh, and then we've got a bike thing guest mesh. So if this is looking at a bike thing mesh, but this is looking at a bike thing guest mesh, well then it won't work. So you have to make sure that both are looking at the same router. Hope that makes sense. Just pay very close attention. It's not difficult, it's just very hard to explain without missing bits, but hopefully you understand. So the first thing we do, this bike's already in bits by the way, so it's very quick and easy to actually get to the OBD. So you need to know where your OBD is on your bike. So I'm just going to take this out now. I'm just going to remove the cover on it. And then I'm just going to plug that straight in. As soon as I plug it in, the ignition's not even on by the way. As soon as I plug it in, I can see it's already in infrastructure mode. Now the fact that's just gone green tells me I think it's actually jumped across back to my router. Let's have a quick look. So there's the GS-911 plugged into the bike. I'm going to go onto the GS-911 app and it's saying, welcome to the GS Wi-Fi app, let's get you started. So get started, please enable location access to determine your connected Wi-Fi network on SSID. So if we hit OK, have you got a GS-911 Wi-Fi device? Yes. No devices found. Okay, so this is how I'm going to show you. So right now my phone that you see right here is connected to my router, which is called a bike thing mesh. I've now got to tell that device on the bike, the GS-911, to connect to the same router that my phone's linked to. Okay? So, would you like to see how to configure? I'm going to say no because I know how to do it and I'm going to show you, but if you hit yes, it'll tell you how to do it. So, this is what we do. I'm going to go back to the settings on my phone, which is here, and this is my Wi-Fi, and you can see that I'm connected to a bike thing mesh. But can you also see on there, we've got GS-911. So I'm going to connect to this, and now we are in D2D mode. And the light on the GS-911 is on for D2D. Now I'm going to come out of here and I'm going to go back to the GS-911, and there you can see that is the GS-911 there on my phone. So we are not using the internet right now. I click on here, and from here, first thing we do, because I want to use the internet for this, we can do an auto scan, but I want to go to setup. So I click on setup, I then go to Wi-Fi setup at the top. Okay, scan for networks. Well, I don't need to press that because I can already see a bike thing mesh right there. So I'm going to tell my GS-911 to look at a bike thing mesh. If I say look at a bike thing mesh guest, I must make sure after this bit we go back onto my phone and connect to that. I can say use mobile data as well, but we're going to say keep trying Wi-Fi. So we're going to go to a bike thing mesh, hit continue. Now it's telling me to reconnect. So I'm actually going to come out of this screen. This is what used to confuse me. And I'm going to go back to my phone. This is the phone. One moment. We're going to go back onto a bike thing mesh, which it's done automatically. And I'm going to go back to the GS-911. So you can see at the top it says searched on a bike thing mesh, and it can see the GS-911 now. So it's different to last time. We go onto here, and now we are viewing the bike via the router here in this property. Right, let's do an auto scan. Right, so this is this customer's no response from the controller. And the ignition is on. Faults present, 1 of 1, telematics module, faults present, 2, VIN mismatch. I will take screenshots of this for the customer and he can take this to his dealer, and but that is basically the whole of the bike you see there. So that's how we do that. Now I'm going to go back a page. If we go to detected vehicle, this video is not going to be about everything that the GS-911 does. It's the sort of thing you need to just buy it and you'll find it does everything you need to do depending on your level of, your comfort level of doing your own servicing on your bike. If we go to vehicle electronics and we go to service functions, and we go to coding functions, and there's this heated grips. So if we click on that, the default out of the factory, this bike has come with 5 levels of heating. Now we can change that. So if I hit continue, we then can see we've got 15, 35, 50%, 75% and 100%. Now I can change them. I'm not going to, because it's a brand new bike, I'm not going to change the damn thing on here. So we just go cancel on there. But if you've got one of the older bikes that have only got 2 levels of heating, well then you can you can mess about with how many levels you want. So instead of 5, yours would say 2. Just there. And we can change that. I can change this to 6 or 7 if I wanted to. I could change it just to 3, depending on what the customer wants. So let's come away from there. The other thing we've got on here, if we go to service reminder for vehicle. So we can set cluster date time and we can reset service reminder. So if you click on here, right now the odometer is just under 2,000 miles. It's a brand new bike, but the customer rode it straight down to the south of France and back again. Now the only reason you'd ever want to change the date on your service reminder is if your bike is outside warranty and you are servicing the bike yourself. You know what you're doing and you want to do self-servicing. So that's when you change the reminder date, so the bike will still alert you the next time you need to do a service. Now, I actually did reset the service reminder on a friend's bike. This was where the mileage was nowhere near where it needed to be, but it was over on the time. So we were literally going on a bike trip. We're about to put 3,000 miles under our belt on a 2-week period. And he asked me, he says, look, it's booked in for a service when I get back. It hasn't done the excess mileage yet, but it has gone over the date, literally by a week, but it's booked in for when I get back. So I responsibly reset that service reminder to remind him to take it in for a service the day we rode back. He was very grateful because obviously his screen wasn't constantly pinging up messages saying, service due, which would have been very annoying on a 3,000 mile road trip. So doing that reset was great. And on literally the last day, he was reminded, he said, Steve, he says, it's literally just popped up again saying take it in for a service, and he was taking it in the very next day. So it's quite a handy feature having it just for that reason. I've got another clip here to show you. Last week I had someone come in on their F850GS Adventure, and I showed him the screen of my R1250 and he's like, what, can I have that on my F850? He goes, yeah, sure you can. So I quickly grabbed the camera on the day and just set it all up so you can see how that changed. If you've got an F850, you can see how that your TFT can change to having all the M load up screen and all the lean angle sensors. It's pretty good, isn't it? Now, there are loads of other features that the GS-911 is going to do. So if you follow the channel closely and you are familiar with another brand of product that I do called Visor. So we do the Visor dongles for the later BMWs from 2021 onwards. The GS-911 can actually program out the DRL on those bikes. So if you are in Europe, this isn't so much for America, this is more for the Europeans and guys in England and the rest of the world. You have got an amber DRL, which I've spoken about in many videos, where we've got the Visor dongle. This will actually program that out as well. You don't need the dongles. So it's up to you. If all you want to do is just remove that DRL, well then this is obviously quite expensive product to buy, whereas the dongles would be probably a more cost-effective option. But if you know you're going to use this, well then it'd be a no-brainer to go for this. Okay, but currently at this point in time, it can't redo the back end of the bike. So if you think about what the dongles do for the back end of the bike, where we've got the red run light, and when we indicate, the red light stays on, making it very hard for us to see the indicators. Now we have dongles here which will get rid of the red light on the respective side. I know Hex are working on that in this. It's not ready yet, but I think they've got some beta stuff going on at the moment. They're telling me it's going to be happening. Haven't seen it yet, but I think that will be coming. No promises, but I think it's coming. You will be able to dial in your own settings for the rear lights through the GS-911, but I'm not promising it. I'm just saying I've heard it's coming, all right? I'm also half expecting to see people saying you can get much cheaper diagnostic tools on eBay or Amazon. Not to the same level as this. Right. You're not just buying this device that plugs into the bike and it'll do what you want. What you're buying is a team. When I say a team, there's about 4 or 5 people at Hex that are working on this full time. It's constantly evolving. There's constantly new bikes coming out. The one here to my left, your right, R1300GS. Today on this date, 11th of February, is it 11th? Yeah, 11th of February, it doesn't work on here. I know it's in beta testing and stuff, so it will be working soon. It definitely will. You'll be able to do everything you can do on the other bikes on this very, very soon. But as of today, it won't work. But they're constantly evolving because there's always new bikes coming out. There's always changes happening. So you are investing into a team of engineers who build this and constantly work on it. You've seen in this video of Stefan as a young man without a beard. When I zoomed in, that man next to the F650, that's Stefan as a very young man. He's still a young man, just a few more lines and a few more grey hairs. That's all. You're not just buying a product off the shelf. You have got that support. If you have any issues, you can contact either us here. Our knowledge on the GS-911 is getting better and better every week. Obviously, we're not as clever as the guys at Hex, but if we can take any weight off their shoulders, if you buy the product from us and need support, then please come to a bike thing, use our contact pages for support. We have got a very good reputation on Trustpilot for being very, very effective at customer support. So please lean on that, please, okay? But obviously, if you don't get the answer you want or we don't reply within 24 hours, then sure, fine. Ping an email over to Hex. I'm sure they'll be happy to help you as well. That is what your investment is. You're investing in a product that you can really lean into, knowing you've got the right guys behind it. So you know what to do. It's on the website. There's a link down below. Go straight through to the product, make your purchase, do your worst. I really do hope you have found this video informative. If you liked it, can you leave a thumbs up? If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. There's some really cool, interesting stuff coming this year. Like really, really cool, interesting stuff. I just can't tell you what it is, okay? Not right now, but there we go. Bloody embargoes all the time. Until next time, stay safe behind bars. Not these bars, these bars. I'll see you in the next video.